Public broadcasting is facing an unprecedented crisis, and it's hitting hard. Imagine a world where your favorite educational shows, trusted news sources, and local programming suddenly vanish. That's the stark reality for many as PBS announces a devastating 15% workforce reduction, equating to 100 staffers losing their jobs. This drastic measure comes in response to a long-standing conservative agenda finally realized. The elimination of taxpayer funding for public media, championed by President Trump and Congress. But here's where it gets controversial. Is this a necessary correction of biased media, or a dangerous silencing of diverse voices? The cuts, confirmed by PBS on Thursday, stem from the loss of $500 million in annual federal funding, axed in July under a Trump-supported rescission bill. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting, once the lifeline for these funds, is set to close its doors by month's end. PBS CEO Paula Kerger, in an email to station managers, called the layoffs unavoidable, despite earlier cost-saving measures like hiring freezes and pay pauses. These decisions, though painful, are essential for PBS to navigate the current challenges in public media, she wrote. For years, Republicans have criticized PBS, NPR, and Voice of America as taxpayer-funded platforms for liberal bias and woke propaganda. Trump made defunding these outlets a central promise of his campaign, labeling them partisan and unfairly critical. This move became a key component of Project 2025, a conservative plan to reshape government and culture. Conservatives argue that these networks should thrive or fail based on market forces, not taxpayer subsidies or regulatory favors. And this is the part most people miss. Critics point to children's shows and educational content addressing themes like race, gender, and climate change, claiming they amount to progressive indoctrination at public expense. PBS's cuts include 34 immediate layoffs, the elimination of dozens of open positions, and earlier reductions when Congress slashed funding for educational programming. The network is trimming its budget by 21% and reducing dues for its 330 member stations. NPR, facing similar financial strain, is cutting $8 million from its budget. CEO Catherine Maher described this as a first step to alleviate pressure on affiliates dependent on CPB grants. The impact is most severe for local PBS and NPR stations, particularly in rural areas where federal funding covered essential operating costs. Many are now at risk of closure without emergency funding. Trump's administration has extended this crackdown to Voice of America, cutting over 500 jobs in August. Acting head Carrie Lake defended the move, labeling VOA radical and a threat to national security. The administration also reduced VOA's language services from 49 to fewer than 5, and signaled plans to dismantle other federally funded broadcasters like Radio Free Asia. The White House frames this policy as a matter of fairness, arguing taxpayers shouldn't fund media outlets perceived as left-leaning. American families should not be forced to fund partisan programming that refuses to represent their views, Trump stated in May. PBS vows to protect flagship shows like PBS NewsHour and Antiques Roadshow, though other original series may be discontinued. Inside PBS, the mood is somber. It feels like the soul of public television is being gutted, one staffer told the New York Times. White House spokesperson Liz Houston declared, "The days of American taxpayers being forced to foot the bill for left-wing propaganda are over." President Trump is ensuring taxpayer dollars are used responsibly and benefit hard-working Americans. But is this truly about fairness, or is it an assault on media diversity? Critics argue that defunding public broadcasting silences vital voices and undermines access to unbiased educational content. What do you think? Is this a necessary correction or a step too far? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's spark a conversation that matters.